just doing a bit of repair work on our peripherals because we've neglected it for far too long. And we're gonna need this stuff to not fail, like really, if we're gonna make our way into the deep zone again. Hello everyone, and welcome back once again to Pacific Drive. And it would seem like we're in the home stretch. We've been sent a new device which should enable us to progress even deeper and interact more with the deep zone's, well, particular nuances. And we've got a whole lot of new resources from the Myers, something we'd neglected up until this point.
What do you think, Francis?
It could work.
It will work. We don't know anything about the well, but the driver doesn't have to go in completely empty-handed.
You're removing the Arc device's limiter and overloading its charge capacity.
Right. So no matter how much energy the car's getting blasted with, the Arc will be able to overpower it to open a gateway. It's the only way to extract the driver from whatever's going to happen at the trigger point.
And then we use Allen's suppression technique to keep the whole thing from completely exploding? This sounds like a lot.
Sure does.
It's what we've got. Driver, go on and install that Arc device modification. We'll spin up the suppression system in the meantime.
I was gonna say, it seems your attitude hasn't changed, but, well, on a larger sense it has. Your roles have kind of reversed, with Francis kind of being the doubtful one. While Oppie is... obviously she has her own reasons for keeping us going, but I don't know, it seems like she also wants to give him something to live for.
Arc device mod's looking good. Now you can head out and overcharge it. We'll give you instructions when you're en route.
Okay, well, I can't wait. Thankfully, we did find a lot of things, so we can make ourselves even more than one additional blowtorch. It really all comes down to those marsh eggs, which thankfully we have a whole lot of them, but we're mostly just going to stow that for now. I think a big part of the reason I ran out of chemicals is because I was using repair putty, like, between runs to make sure this was at, like, 100%, and that's not really necessary at all. Maybe we should blowtorch that bumper up a bit. But yeah, it's just really interesting to see how these characters have kind of evolved throughout the game, from me being something of a nuisance that they just have to get out of their hair as quickly as possible, to being someone who actually brought hope to them. I mean, the more we accomplished, the more excited they were to see just what we can get out of this opportunity, and that's... I don't know, I really like it when a game's narrative has give and take, when it has its ups and downs rather than just a sprint for the end. Which it sometimes feels like we're doing. This is a very difficult game from a Let's Play perspective because I 100% am going to play this on my own time. It's really, really fun. But at a certain point, I do, for the sake of pacing, have to just kind of continue as much as I can. Which means there's things we're not going to see as far as upgrades go. But I want to do the best we can. So let's see some more of this. I believe I actually get an achievement if I unlock just about 6 more things. We can get the LIM chip. This integrated circuit was carefully constructed using LIM tech. It will be the keystone in so many advanced devices. Somebody should patent this. Me. Just put some more storage right out here, because we certainly need it. There we go, it's more or less the same as before. What else have we got? If we head into engines, we can get the LIM-chipped engine. Wow. Wow, that's almost a 50% increase in horsepower. It's awful on gas mileage, but it could be cool. Here's one that draws battery, but has a little bit more horsepower. I mean, look, we're gonna go big or go home, right? We've got to. High capacity battery. Oh yeah, no, we want all of this stuff. Leak resistant battery. Now look, for a series like this, it's necessary to pre-record these things well in advance so that I can make sure that a new thing comes out every day. But this is one of those times where I really miss having you guys for day-to-day advice. I mean, that's something that makes series like Voices of the Void so much easier on me. And I wish I had known this earlier on. it is actually better to mix and match different resistances and different armor types because they can actually share some of that ability with their neighbors, at least if I'm understanding that correctly. So what are the two things that hurt us the most? Electricity, which is what he built ourselves out for, and really that's the thing that we're pretty much immune to at the moment. But if we slap on these radiation, these lead-lined plates, then we should be sharing a good amount of resistance to the second biggest danger we've run into, those times when the hot dust kicks up all around us. Now this thing is looking cooler too, so there's also that to consider. Make way for the expanded backseat fuel tank. And there we go, we get the achievement for equipping something in every possible slot. Oh man, we're gonna have to spin this thing around in order to actually fill it up. That's annoying. Actually, we're better off than flipping you this way. There we go, now all our gas capacity is on this side, and all our battery stuff is on the other. Actually, we can replace this with a high capacity battery, so both of those limiting factors are now reduced. I guess we can just scrap the old stuff. Now, we need Olympium fragments to make limb chips, but carbon fiber glass? Ah, that is made from tree candy. And it'll be a fairly substantial resource cost, but if we were to make 10 of them... Hey, at least we're clearing out our storage, right? We should be able to go back here and get, what was it? There was an expanded... augmented trunk storage. A true triumph of trunk technology, the back of this automobile could now comfortably contain an entire British town, all its occupants, and their accents. What is the fixation on the British in these things? Alright, well, we've got it now. Wow, that required advanced materials science? I sort of see why, I suppose. We can actually build the expanded matter regenerator, allowing us to leave more parts fixing back here while we go. This is one of those games where, like, I really wish I had rushed certain things earlier, but I suppose that's the appeal, is you're probably supposed to go through this multiple times, and, well, maybe it's the kind of game where you do continue after the end. I'm really not sure. They let us stagger saves, so I'm still gonna. Now, there are 3 materials that we have not yet figured out how to get, and that's the limb chip, the limb magnet, and the Olympium fragments. So that is going to be our objective for today. We've got to reach the barricade operating station and see about getting this thing overcharged. I like it in games like this that have heavy progression emphasis, where something that's been with you from the beginning is something that has to evolve with you, both in terms of the ARC device itself and, well, in terms of this old rust bucket that we found just sitting dilapidated and wheelless in a shack. It seems like more than coincidence that we were teleported right in front of this thing, essentially. Well, I'll tell you what, we've developed a habit of doing supply runs before we go for a mission. So let's head over to the Myers again. That'll get us immediately into the deep zone, and then we can get out of here. Now, I've done some research, and I think it's very confusing, but I think the way the junction bypasser works might mean that it has to be along these, like, wider highways, but I'm not 100% on that. We're not going to jump out here, though, unless we might have to. We'll just have to see what happens. But every time, like, I always spend a lot of time in the garage here, and I am always so excited to get back out there, and that's the mark of a good gameplay loop. Ah, yep, there we are. Okay, that's how it works. I guess we still have to stop along the road at points. But that's alright, that's still better than before. Oh, we're gonna be heading through a tunnel. Oh, we've got a problem here. We've got a problem here. The wipers are doing this again. Why does this one in particular keep happening? Alright, well, let's be ready to deal with this dude. Oh, an Arda truck. Yeah, I guess we might as well help ourselves. Wow, you just gave up when you saw that limb shield. Wow. Well, we've got basically infinite power. And I just engaged the handbrake. Wow, that actually just zapped you as it rolled forward. We're a tag team. This thing really is made for me. Seriously though, the revelation that these remnants were created rather than inadvertently made, well, that's a pretty big deal. I mean, this thing was made to do exactly what we're using it for. But should it tell us something that it didn't succeed the first time? Now look, objectively speaking, it would have been much better to go with more battery over more fuel. My counterpoint is that things have been scary when it comes to low fuel a couple of times, and the last thing I want is to run out while trying to get out of here. The scavenge cars, if you do them constantly... Ooh. This looks like the entrance to some huge underground facility. Actually, it looks like we're going right through like a mountain pass with this gap in the middle, so this theoretically could extend pretty far and deep. But the graffiti outside reminds us that, well, the fact that it's abandoned means that there's probably not a pretty sight inside. You know what? We actually do need a lot more rubber. This is another one of those reasons why this is a tricky game to Let's Play. Because so much of it is just like, you know, stop and go, which probably wouldn't be all that interesting to watch, at least not in any kind of reasonable time frame. But then there's the question of what about the driving? I mean, I cut a lot of driving the later we go, but I try to leave it in really when we're in new areas, but this is the atmosphere. This is like the whole game is just cruising through these biomes. And it is such a pretty game. Look. J and H. I wonder if we think back if that's anyone in particular that we can point to. Comes the fog. Yeah, in this case, it's actually a little easier to kill the headlights. Oh, that got truly thick for a moment. Especially look how low we're lying. The silhouette of that little cabin in the middle of the woods. I do really like that this game gives you like so many different biomes to explore. Not just in terms of the different effects that you can get randomly, but visually, you know? Stuff like this, where we're really able to see... I mean, stuff like this, I feel like it would be very easy to commit to one visual style for this, so it's cool that it gives us not only a lot of different imagery so we don't get bored of looking at it, but it doesn't waste the potential of like what this game could have been, you know? Some people want these Annihilation style, like mostly normal forests. Some people want it totally alien, and some people want the death world of Into the Radius, and each layer gives us that. Anyway, we're in. The one way in which I feel like something may have been lost, and this is a very subjective criticism, is in how stop and go the driving is. I mean, because when I had learned about this game, I kept thinking like it was going to be much more of a long drive style road trip. And it's not fair at all to criticize a game for what you thought it was rather than what it is, so I've really mostly refrained from mentioning it. But the more I drive around and the more we go through this weather and these biomes, the more I kind of wish it was a little more open in that way. And arriving here in the Myers proves that it worked. Our highway bypass actually is functional. However, we are a little bit off because we're still doing these little road segments, but these are much more straightforward, so it's still a lot faster. The only downside is that we can't collect limb energy from here, so it's not a good way to rush your objectives. I guess that's okay though, given that we're more or less gonna need to break new ground when we go to those places anyway. It's too early. I'm having a hard time talking. Let's fire off our resource thing on a highway. Nope, I always hit the wrong thing. The ramp truck counts as a resource. That's kind of funny, but otherwise this place is dead. Do you hear that? It's crazy. This game has some sounds that it seems to reserve so that you never get used to what the zone sounds like. There's always something new to make you think, is that actually going to be a thing? According to the radar, there's a little swamp shack out here. And as the heavy fog descends, I suppose we could check it out. You guys stay where you are, why don't you? Now, don't that just sum it all up, huh? In an apocalyptic area, in the zone, every little image left behind tells 1,000 words. And here we are, finally. We've got a lot of anchors here, so we're gonna want to make sure we stock up. Okay, the wipers are less bothersome now, but still messing with the dome light, which is just... See, that's the thing, is that the quirks in this game, they can be anything ranging from catastrophic to just really, really annoying. And this is one of those really, really annoying things, especially considering we just fixed it. But a lot of ARTA trailers here, which makes this worth our while. Let's just leave this to charge the battery while we're at it. I also like the way this game handles a replenishing of resources, because, you know, this game does sort of describe itself as a roguelike, or at least the community does. And a lot of them, that really just means if you don't get lucky with RNG, screw you. But it gives you options for dealing with these things, mostly related to scavenging. I've talked about that before. But also, it allows you these things that aren't cop-outs, but just sort of allow you to see things in different ways. For example, rain can be really annoying. It limits your visibility. But if you're somebody who values atmosphere, it can be great. And it can be a huge godsend if you recharge from it. It's the kind of thing that can actually save you. Falling to your knees like a farmer whose crops haven't been watered in a long time. And that's all on you. That's all on how you decide to progress. It could also be like when a windstorm picks up or something like that. And I don't know, it's just really cool. It's another one of those ways where every run is bound to be different based on the choices you make. That's the value of having upgrades that aren't just a linear upgrade path, but rather allowing you to build yourself out, to mix and match. It adds so much replayability and so many dynamic situations to arise. A whole lot of bad out here, but also a whole lot of good. Look at that. That abductor is having a real bad day. Whatever a bad day for you is a good day for me. We've got another one of these vacuums for when this breaks. You playing with my radio out there? You better not be. Come on, go for it. I dare you. I double dare you. There! Oh, wow! We destroyed one! It's just as well, because everything is showing up now. Now that they know they can't get at the car, they're going to try and get at me. Is that it? I'd be a lot more nervous about leaving it that way if it weren't raining. Yep, still works the same as before, bud. There's just things everywhere. Sometimes I feel like it's just throwing everything at me all at once, and I can't help but think that's deliberate. Maybe a zone property. I didn't actually check when I came in here. But there are those moments where, like, there's just swarms of enemies. This comes right after we didn't see any abductors at all for a while. But having that passive protection is very useful. What is all that? I'll get the plasma on the way back. What is going on in here? Is that like an overtaken charge station? Oh, circuit gate. Wait, these things are just like around now? Huh. Alright, well, let's finish the hoovering before we worry about that. Oh, in my darkest hour, I guess you guys threw me a spare hand vac. Well, I guess we can use the smaller one in the meantime. Still very weird, though. One of you guys actually commented that it's the tourists themselves who do that, implying that they do more than just move around while I'm not looking. That's kind of creepy. Switch to you. And use you for the easy stuff. Oh, the water is bad for us right now. I mean, I'm still gonna get what I came for. How do we deal with this? Let's see what you got. Well, the problem is it's not... Yeah, okay, I guess if we see up ahead, but we're not on a linear track like we were before. I had commented that why aren't we seeing this in regular gameplay? I guess we can. Yep. Get out of my way, please. Oh, this is such uneven terrain! Wait, no, go, go, go. Is that close enough? Where's the next thing? Oh my god, go away. I have no idea where I'm going next. I think we're basically immune to abductors now, right? I mean, it'll cost us a little bit of power, not even really. And you can just go bye-bye. Alright, so here's where you're the most dangerous. Pickpockets, I think, are the most dangerous. Hopefully not when they're distracted, but right when you're about to leave. I've heard horror stories of people who were about to leave when they got grabbed by one and lost parts for good. I even heard one about somebody who had the roof rack grabbed off with all of their run's worth of stuff. Now that is something I would like to avoid. Okay, well, there's a new quirk. But yeah, I basically ended up redoing that entire zone because I got to the end, clicked through like I always do, and about 30 hours of gameplay in, saw that there's apparently such a thing as a dead end. So I Alt F4'd out of that because I saw it as I was going in, and now we're back here. So our loot might be a little bit different. Okay, when the trunk opens, that seems to cause any door to open. This is why you gotta test these things a few times, because sometimes it might be a bit misleading. There we go, now it's usually you in the back, but not always. Yeah, and we can get more than one, okay. So, it's always better to diagnose yourself as much as you can and only use the hints as, well, hints. Alright, once again, the dome light turns on when the wipers start moving right, but we should also check if it does anything else. Okay, it toggles when they turn right. Keep that in mind. Then we've got to figure out what's going on with this door. Okay, when the headlights go on, any door is liable to fall off, so that's an issue. That's one of the things that urgently needs to be fixed. Newsflash, Seattle, February 19th, 1969. In a surprisingly public display of displeasure, Pierce County Sheriff Buck O'Bostrel sounded off today on what he feels is a lack of support from ARDA and government employees in tracking fugitives who flee to the Olympic Peninsula. Suspects are all too aware that law enforcement is limited in their ability to pursue who enter this restricted... Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, but it's a bit of a one flew over the cuckoo's nest situation, isn't it? They probably are pretty confident in their ability to make it, but probably not the best idea. This might actually be a good shortcut into the Deep Zone, and this is where our earlier exploration pays off. See, earlier it would not have made any sense to come up here except to get some materials, but now we can actually ride this highway all the way up to B1 and into the Deep Zone from the top. There we go. Just have to deal with a couple of highways along the way. Our engine is overheating, so we're gonna need a mechanics kit. Problem is, we've only just entered, and, well, we don't have anything to fix it with. So let's loot some nearby stuff to make sure we can do that. The flashlight was really just for, I guess, relatability. And good as new. I think there is actually an upgrade that allows you to have basically a headlamp, but it's another one of those ways this game isn't really good for a Let's Play, where you can't often see what you're doing while you're doing it. Look, this car is much tankier than it was when we formed some of our habits early on. And so, what's the point of an entertaining series if we don't do this at least some of the time? YOLO! That actually hardly screwed with us at all, even though you would think it would be far more damaging than lightly tapping some small trees. Belligerent bubblegum, acid devours fuel, swift storm. Well, that's not good, but we want anchors. We really want anchors because we need to be able to get out of the Deep Zone in a hurry. And it's hard to scavenge because there's so much high instability everywhere. Dumpster Pearl, that'll do us good. There's so many rads. And we've got this upgraded space. I know we have the whole roof rack, but I'm paranoid about using it. This one spawned right in the middle of the heavy rads, and there's no reason for the car to get damaged along with it. Yep. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. Oh my god, this sucks. Right. There we go. You know, when it spawns up around the car the way it tends to, it's almost like the zone is trying to claw that energy back from us. Yep, this is just awful. Whole lot of badness. Everything's radioactive. Everything's electrified. Everything wants to kill me. It's a good thing we've taken all the upgrades we have. I mean, the thing is, anytime you get this stuff, you always feel like it's overkill. But you very quickly find out that no, it isn't. Which is, to be fair, the indicator of a good upgrade tree. It's also the indicator of a good difficulty curve, in my opinion, where you constantly feel like you're getting more and more powerful, to the point where you don't even realize you're doing things that you would have found unthinkable a couple hours of gameplay ago. Much more efficient in these high rad situations to just kind of snip down everything and then hand back it. There we go. Yep. And all you. Really, I have found one thing that sucking the lights is good for, and that's that they're just a lot more useful for saving materials when it comes time to build things like light replacement kits. Hopefully that unlocks even farther routes. If this does connect to the zone we need to travel to, then we could very easily have a shortcut. Red Spires is right, and really the only thing we're dealing with is magnified explosions, meaning if we avoid tourists and, heaven forbid, tour bus, we should be fine. Famous last words. Actually, hang on. These pillars seem like they glow the same way as the tourists. I guess you're not scannable, so you're probably fine. But that gives me pause. Actually, something that I had noticed while editing the last part is these things right here. These are quite curious, aren't they? They're almost like trees, but they seem to grow up out of the ground like concrete. Like it's actually emulating human materials and using those to build the structures, like vague imitations. Can't help but feel like that looks like the skyline to some city, right? I actually kind of wish the rain would pick up a bit more. We've lost a bit more battery than I would like, though we're still definitely doing well. Let's stop right here. There's an anchor there. And we need to absolutely fill up. I hope we can do that on 4 of these things. Oh, look. There's like these brightly colored little wisps all over. And what is that glowing over there? Hang on, I have other things on my mind. I have no idea how we're going to get at that without seriously injuring ourselves. What are you? Okay, point taken. You're unhappy with my presence. Alright, limb shield on. Are you able to get me from all the way over there? No, you've got a range. But we are being, affected. Oh, no, no, no. You absolutely can get me from there. How the heck are we going to get a scan on that? Oh, no. Okay, how are we doing this? Nope. I want what's in that Arda truck. Oh! There's some kind of red box thing that's being sprung up. This is gonna have to be an on-foot sort of mission. There's another one. Oh no, it's a whole field of things. This is the farthest threat we've dealt with by far. Let's get over it. No, it's not enough. Blocking line of sight is not enough. As long as we just have to avoid the spike, we should be fine. There we go. Blacksmith. A blacksmith anomaly. Transcript taken from briefing by Dr. Niraj Patel, 1967. Thank you for taking the time to join us today, everyone. I'm well aware the military has plenty on its schedule. My assistant is passing out summary reports, but should you require more information, I have extensive, in-depth data collected over several years of research on a wide variety of phenomena here on the peninsula. My specialty has been what we have broadly categorized as geological anomalies, and today I'd like to update you on what many of your soldiers have been calling the blacksmith. Within just a couple of weeks, the anomalies have already caused extensive disruption and a great deal of injury. They've demolished buildings, they brought down transmitters, they forced vehicles off the road. The damage done is already run into the millions, and all of us, soldiers or scientists, are acutely aware of the costs we're accruing and the equipment we're writing off. I'm hoping we can pool our experiences and best practices and save one another a lot of stress and harm. First, I'm hoping we can find a pattern to this latest anomaly, the way we sometimes have with others. Second, I'm hoping we can find a way to predict and even avoid these. Let's start by reviewing some witness statements. I would very much like to know about that. Oh, and the moldy balloon. Have we never read this? Taken from Psychiatric Debriefing of Sergeant Dale Farrow, April 20th, 1969. Why are all of these on April 20th? I'm so sick of it, man. I'm so done with this place. You know how I felt looking at that giant, bounding ball of death just heading down the street today? I felt like the whole world is out to get us. It isn't safe here anymore. We can't protect the scientists, the engineers, nobody. We've got these things out there shooting toxic snot around every day, and they act like people don't even exist. And they're mindless. It's not like you can reason with any of these things. You can't talk to them. I don't know how to predict how any of them will behave. I don't know what they want. If they want anything. All I know is I want out. Every day we go out there and we're in danger like nothing I've ever seen before. I can't sleep at night because I'm so scared, and because I don't even know if the barracks are safe now. Listen to me, Chen. We're gonna lose more people. We shouldn't be here. We shouldn't be doing this. That's a sentiment that, when disregarded for so long until eventually, maybe way too late, they decided you were right. Can that get us in here? The log indicates yes, past experience says no. Which one is correct? Find out. Things that get us limb magnets might be good, but it's limb magnets into glass shards, which seems not worth it. Okay. We've got to head towards you. Yep. That thing right there. What is it? Tickling tumbler. Okay, well, we got it. We got it, so let's run like we stole it, which we did. Okay, drop you in there where I believe it's safe! Ow. Okay, hopefully we can find another one. Ah, good, more. I just need to get a scan. Your explosives tossed about by these things. You? No, you're just a plain old explosives crate. So these things are anomalous explosives crates then. Okay, let's retreat. Dr. Francis Cook, June 1st, 1966. I'm not sure I like my job so much these days. The amount of explosions alone is difficult to count. I never thought I'd be working in a place where everything explodes so much. But after what I suppose we're now calling each growth event, I should not be using inverted commas, everything gets stranger. Stranger and more dangerous. I know we were told to expect some amount of hazard, but people are dying out here, and the work Arda has us doing is putting each person at ever greater risk. The latest of these anomalies, horrific things that I swear we've lost all control of and are now completely overwhelmed by, is some sort of mutated, volatile rock that might as well be a bomb, hence the explosions. Are they almost indistinguishable from any other boulders lying about until they chase you? Of course they are. Are Arda management aware of this newest danger, this most recent peril, or even addressing any of our new concerns? Sometimes I wonder if Arda are responsible for all this. I actually didn't know that was a question. But it doesn't seem like there's anything we can do with you unless... Nope. Nope. What about you? One which has not been tossed yet. Yep. Presumably if we get launched, we're going to be dropping you right at our feet. Is that right? Yep. Well, that didn't work. Maybe if we toss you directly inside, that could do something. Oh, wait, no, wait. We can actually open you and get stuff. Explosives, things we couldn't have before. Oh, no, stay away. The good news, getting hit by these spikes doesn't seem to be all that deadly. The bad news, that can turn that way at any time. Okay, yeah, no, you don't care about that, even if I try to toss you in. So we'll be leaving you alone now. So what are we finding out here? Primarily that it's never too late to learn new things. This game is brought to you by PBS. A whole lot of awful, but If I say that every time, I might as well stop saying it, because it no longer serves as a meaningful indicator. We just gotta deal with it. Oh my god. We need this limb. It's actually much farther away than I thought! Let me go. Alright, now. We've got some health, but this thing right here is a bit of a pickle. Ow. We just gotta do it quickly. 16%, not bad considering we hesitated. Yep. Please be enough. I think we can do this. But we've also got to make sure... We got to find the resources that are out here, man. There's some fuel. There's some artist stuff. There is something actually new over there. 190 meters in that direction. Something here? Well, there's you right there. Yep. Hang on. Sometimes we've just got to tank it and stop being afraid. Olympium vein, yes. Partial memo, circa 1967. First created in 1944 alongside americium and curium, Olympium similarly remained a state secret. But while information about other transuranium elements was gradually made public, knowledge of the highly unstable Olympium was not. This was in part because it took some time for scientists to confirm its existence through additional testing, and then because further research on the element continued only on the Olympic Peninsula, under strict artist supervision. The first isotope created had a half-life of approximately 9 seconds, similar to hassium, and initial applications were extremely limited. And it wasn't until the isotope 01266 was accidentally created by a LIM tech team working for ARDA that the practical applications of a strong and relatively lightweight metal were considered. Olympium alone has limited use outside of making heavier transuranium and transactinide elements, but the possibilities of alloys using 01266 have intrigued chemists and engineers. Since its discovery, knowledge of Olympium has remained closely guarded, and it was believed to have only ever existed in laboratories at the University of Chicago and on the Olympic Peninsula. However, after the events of 1961, 01266 was occasionally discovered in small above-ground deposits within the zone. The causes of this distribution remain unexplained. Okay, so for that we need the magnetic hammer, which this is. Hang on. It's got to be a direct hit, does it? There we go. Oh, but how can we get so much? No. And being bounced around like this doesn't help. Alright, we've really got to heal. Come on, give us as much of that as you can. But we've also got to get back out there. Look at that battery drain. Nope, stop. It takes you a second to wind down, too. Yeah, I think we should leave as soon as possible. Meteorite squall. The first time that giant rocks fell from the sky, zone scientists believe it to be a freak meteor shower. It was only when these events became more common that it was apparent their origin was not extraterrestrial. The cause has never been determined, but the rocks continue. Perhaps launched from elsewhere? Yeah, oh no, okay, yep, nope, screw this, goodbye. Later, taters. Oh my god, I can't see anything. I also don't have energy. You get this. Later. Oh wait, there's a thing right there, which means I should go for it, right? Okay, we're just coming out on the edge. That means that we need to hurry. That just means we need to hurry. Go. Grab. Put in. Later. My god, this place sucks. This place sucks. This place sucks. We should be able to keep ahead of the storm, though, and grab that log. It's moving in the direction we need it to. I don't know if this was worth it. Like, obviously we learned a lot, so it's worth it in that way, and we're going to unlock new routes, possibly even a highway directly into the Deep Zone. But we did not... I'm dismayed to learn how hard Olympium is to get. Unless we get a decent amount from those few rocks. These pulsating masses growing on the side of these things. With that red energy flowing through them, possibly unstable energy that's actually powering these tourists and, I guess by extension, these things. They start to look a lot more like actual blood vessels.
How do you force 100,000 people out of their homes without facing major resistance? Even if you're the United States government, facing down what's being peddled as the greatest threat our nation has ever faced, the answer is, you don't. This is Frequency File, Episode 3, The Human Cost. Last episode, I reported all the cold, hard facts I could get my hands on. If you missed that episode, here's the summary. There wasn't much. Now, we jump tracks to the stories of the people, to knit together old records and eyewitness accounts to form some fabric of the true story. Whoever's job it was at ARDA to suppress stories did a really good job. What they did to keep that sheer number of people from talking, and then to smear the stories that did come out, was a masterstroke of obfuscation. Unfortunately for ARDA, the cases that made it all the way to court became public record. And the facts were these. ARDA played nice at first with a generous relocation package. We offered cold, hard cash and built sprawling housing complexes in nearly every state to resettle the former residents. These new communities were built as idyllic, white picket-fenced neighborhoods where you were sure to be surrounded by all-American families who shared your same values, while enjoying the benefits of government-subsidized grocery stores, school districts, and manicured public parks. Not a bad deal for the looks of things. When it came to the holdouts, the people who wouldn't leave for any amount, things got ugly. But in the end, the government won out, as it always does. And while the government has the sovereign right to seize private property, the Fifth Amendment mandates just compensation be paid for it. It doesn't specify when or how this compensation be made, and many dissenters ended up with nothing through good old loopholes and bureaucracy. Some of whom are still pursuing their claims to this day. But the chilling thing is, those left with empty pockets consider themselves lucky. There is a saying they mutter amongst themselves under their breath, that at least they had the luck to not live in Sierra.
That's a side of the story we've been honestly missing up until this point. The side of those who lived here beforehand, the ones who, like, because remember, it wasn't always the zone as we know it. People were here for a while after research started, and I guess at a certain point it was just an ongoing list of grievances that eventually led to them being forced out entirely. Speaking of being forced out entirely, I think that's pretty much the road we're on right now. There's not really much that we can scavenge from these things that we really desperately need. But with this, we'll have enough to leave. Go. Now the issue with leaving right now is that the terrain can be tricky. It can be very deceptive on the map because there are some very high locations, hello, Wait, let's turn this back on. You explode, don't you? Willing to bet you explode. Yep! That's what I thought, which means it's going to be difficult to get scans of the likes of you. Once more, the limb shield protects. I mean, look at the kind of shape we're in. That's a miracle. I haven't even started cutting yet. Tourists, have you been simulating me cutting into these things and retrieving serviceable components this entire time? I knew the game felt bad for me, but I didn't know the true extent. I'll happily help myself anyway. You need a sealing kit for this tire. Definitely don't want you flat while we're like this. Thankfully, we've already got some. There you go. Close. Let's start planning our escape. Problem is, I'm worried that this one over here is on the other side of like some huge mountains, but according to this, we should be able to skirt around it. Oh well, I hope we're in the right position. Yep. This is the kind of place where that nitrous would be nice. Then again, would it be? Yep, kind of forcing us directly in. Yep. So this is awful. Now we've got another damaged wheel just instantly. This time we can't get out to do anything about it. You know, I feel like it really rains and pours when it comes to anomaly clusters. Like, it just ends up monkeying you in the middle far more often than coincidence can account for. Hopefully you're here to reassure me. Hello, friendly dumpster. You're behaving strangely. I wish I had time to scan you, because I think you're something different. Have we actually finally encountered the angry dumpster? Well, I don't know. I don't particularly care. We're gone.
How'd the zone
Yeehaw.
treat you this time?
Not well, Oppie. Not well. We can use Limb for improved electroplating. Bond metals like we never have before. It's a revolution! Oh god, my hand. Yeah, that seems to be about the ups and downs of working in this place. And yeah, we really did not receive much in the way of Olympium. There's gotta be easier ways to get at it, right? Because that would have been really slow going. We are going to spend a bunch of our marsh eggs to get grip gloves, because not having things stolen out of our hands is definitely something that doesn't sound like a problem, because it doesn't happen often, until it screws us at some critical moment. Using hints, I've been able to get probably one of the more elusive and long-lasting ones, so when the radio is on, the wipers wobble. Which is something that's happened a bunch of times throughout the game, but it's just so obscure we never would have figured it out. But for you, we need only a mechanics kit. I'm mainly going to rush this one, only really stopping for anchors, because this is a long drive. But perpetual stability in a red spire zone, that's going to give us a lot of time to see what we can do. So let's go for it. We've got no real highway support either. Shields on. Yep, that's my equivalent of roll 'em up. Get out of here, you. Let's take the long way around, I suppose. Cool thing is, you guys do actually seem to be at least somewhat affected by the conditions. I mean, you guys standing uncharacteristically still while the wind is blowing like this sort of reminds me of like butterflies and moths clinging to surfaces in a windstorm. This is gonna be a bumpy one, I think. Funny how you reach a point where the mid-zone doesn't even feel dangerous anymore. Every time you start on an area, it feels like this new and scary thing. And as soon as you move on to the next, it becomes essentially home base. Let's go, go, go. Last thing we want is to drive through acid right now. You better run. You are all welcome to try and intercept me at this time, the limb shield guards. There we go. Where's this thing? Still up further ahead. That should be it. You guys are just kind of bouncing off and goopifying, which makes things considerably easier for me. Let's go, go, go. Look at this. Meteorite medley. Deep zone conditions do not screw around. Meteorites from an eternal meteor shower are forever falling in this part of the zone. We probably don't need these things. We probably have enough energy that we could just dip. But well, no, I'm not going to. Honestly, though, I kind of prefer the dead of night here to, well, whatever was going on before. The red haze in the sky just makes it feel so much more apocalyptic. Even if objectively nothing has changed, it just makes me feel hopeless. But these deep zone explorations, they are fascinating to me, I must admit. I mean, this is it. This is the end of the road. The place we are not supposed to be. And where no one else has been. Come on. There you go. So how can I not feel like I'm accomplishing something by grabbing a little piece for myself? Oh god, it's you guys. Okay, well, you seem to know to mostly stay away. Have not seen any of these meteor showers yet. Yeah, well, that's just great. That's just, you know, I deserve that. I really, really deserve that. Although the impeccable timing games have with my commentary seems, again, more than coincidence. There we go. Seems though like this is something we can more or less avoid. I've got to imagine those things are just going to smash my car to pieces instantly, right? Like there's no way there's any other outcome? Oddly enough, we're mostly finding unstable rather than corrupted cores here. Nope, there's a corrupted one. You know, they say it's astronomically unlikely for you to be hit by a meteor. That does not really seem to be true here. It is massive instability. Yeah, I kind of think we should just leave. Lightning's not going to strike the same place twice, right? Or even immediately adjacent, I hope? Come on. Yep. Get in. Please tell me these things aren't one of the conditions for things that can fall after an anchor is pulled. Screw everything. gotta go this way anyway. You guys are new. You're a new type of abductor, right? A new type? Or maybe you're just a new skin. I don't know. It doesn't seem to be a new scan for us. Yep. I'd really appreciate it if you wouldn't do that. Okay, let's go. As soon as we're in the car, the shield protects. Those meteors can't possibly hit us in here, can they? You know, I never did actually find out if it's safe to shelter from a storm in here. It seems like a good idea, but I don't know if the more terrestrial problems could still emerge. Huh. What is the deal with this? A lot of rads, but no open doorway. Well, maybe something worthwhile in here? And it's really just the usual loot. I'll certainly take it, though. Let's keep moving. Oh my god. Oh my god, no, I am so... No. There's a thing out there. I want to go for it, but it just doesn't seem smart. Look, the instability is closing in. It's a long way. We're gonna go all the way back, and there's a storm, and there's meteors. Yeah, I think that's my sign. I hate to do this, but I think that's my sign. Things are only gonna go badly if I try to get that. Wait, here we can get magnets. Here we can get magnets, and I think we have a good amount of scrap. Let's try it. There, 8. Is this gonna be worth it? Is this gonna be worth it? One limb magnet. 1. But I get the idea now. We feed you scrap, we get magnets in return. And it's gotta be a certain amount. Well, it's an unfavorable trade, but if we either spend the entire run stocking up and knowing we can find one of you guys, because I've just realized you are, like, a different thing. Yeah, I had been passing you just assuming you were the same as the other things we've been finding. We continue to experience a growing demand for on-site manufacturing and engineering facilities, especially as Arda's requests for custom-built equipment increase. It's becoming difficult to keep up, and the degradation experienced within the zone takes a daily toll. In particular, we find ourselves in need of a great deal of machine parts and magnets. For the latter, it's become necessary to improvise large machines that can quickly magnetize ferromagnetic elements in their alloys, in the hope that we can mass-produce replacements. While our early prototypes were somewhat jury-rigged and themselves vulnerable to the vagaries of zone conditions, I believe I've devised a substantially sturdier solution. I'm distributing blueprints of this limb-assisted design to all department heads. We can find this everywhere in the deep zone, it says. But alright, we know how to do it now, and it's just a matter of putting that into practice. Look at that, combining the red, the towers, and the lights from our exit. This thing starts to look like something the Combine would get up to. Here we are. And we do have perpetual stability, so having a look around
Give us
at
the
what we can
rundown,
grab.
Francis.
What, me?
The electrical grid is your department.
You know the plan as well as I do.
So you'd rather trust me than have to speak up for yourself? Guess you're on your own, driver. Good luck.
Okay, fine. The regular anchors aren't enough to overcharge the arc device to the level we need. But there's an old anomaly barricade we can
Piggyback onto. It's archaic technology, an early attempt to stop anomalies from drifting out into the wider Olympic Peninsula. It worked for some time,
Until it didn't.
but long enough to get the old wall built.
The barricade's in bad shape, but what's a little rampant voltage leakage? Not like the ghosts and goblins of the Deep Zone will mind. And if they do, all the better for Francis. Huh?
Appreciate the olive branch, Oppie, but boy, do you have a lot to learn about the paranormal. I'd be happy to give you a primer after all this is over.
Ugh, hard pass. I'm far too old for that.
The car will induce a current along the barricade, in the same way you did it crossing the old wall. Every connection point needs to be induced within a limited time. Electrify the entire barricade, and we'll have all the power we need.
You heard him. Floor it, driver.
So more or less the same plan as before. Okay. Yep. We do have a jump point here, but it's not gonna let us use it. Not that that's really surprising, considering we don't want to use it anyway, but I'm not sure why it's actually stopping us. It didn't even do that at the Deep Zone crossing.
You're near the barricade's operating station. Can you get in there and look around? We need something that'll give us the lay of the land.
I think I can do that. We just gotta make sure we don't lose our battery. You know, one thing I would criticize about this game is that I just don't think procedurally generated environments are as interesting to explore as, you know, like just actually crafted ones. Oh, SRR meeting minutes 2. And there's some problems. November 18th, 1949. Agenda. How best to classify and store SRR equipment and journals. Suitable social clubs or meetings that will not exclude Dr. Ophelia Turner. Arising concerns. The SRR lacks formal structure. Country clubs, academies, golf venues, etc. off limits to Dr. Ophelia Turner. Action items. Dr. Ophelia Turner shall be responsible for storing and maintaining SRR equipment. Dr. Reginald Stanley Robinson shall be responsible for minute-taking and record-keeping. AOB. Local cider tasting, courtesy of Dr. Henry F.W. Mulligan. Okay, so in very short order we learn, or, well, relearn, Ophelia's the patsy, everyone else doesn't have their priorities in order. Alright, we can scan this right here, there we go.
Perfect. I'm uploading the barricade map to your ARC device. By my calculations, if you electrify all 8 posts, you'll have all the power you need. Oppie, does that seem
This is
right?
not good, this is not good.
Does it seem right to you?
I think so. Yeah, I ran the numbers a few times, and
Then get to it, driver.
Suppose we just have to. Is this that perpetual stability you guys were talking about? Just doing this while I'm in the middle of doing a story thing? There we go. Keep to the road. You. sure we avoid these tour buses. And as for you guys, we're just gonna have to tank it. Where's the next? Right there. And we're through that first gate.
All right, it's working.
Oh, this is a place of perils, but you are not one of them, sir. And not having to deal with you has been a huge load off for me. Yep. And there's gate 2. None of the pitfalls of before, still good on battery, gas, everything. Well, we are starting to take a little bit of a beating. We've got a full blowtorch in the back. Yep. We are getting knocked around a little bit, so that's irritating. Please just don't run out. It's the next gate.
You're making good time. Keep it up.
Now, this exists for a nice contrast. I mean, before, it was a panicked run with people falling all over themselves at mission control, me barely making it to each subsequent thing. Now, it's the exact opposite. Everyone's confident, everyone's cool, everyone knows what to do. In other words, this is science. It's always the idea that next time
Looking good,
will be
driver.
easier because of what we learned the last time. Let's not deal with two of you at once. Imagine doing all this during a meteor shower. Don't give this game any ideas for a climax, right? These things bursting us into the air, giving us a difficult enough time as it is.
Few more to go.
These red abductors, there's got to be something different about them, right? But I don't think there is, because it's not offering me another scan, but clearly, I don't know, maybe you've just been under the effects of the zone for longer. Yep. Still holding up, although the limb shield itself is starting to take a beating. Lose that, and this becomes much more difficult. Through. One more after this. Biggest threat? Getting blindsided by those saws. Oh yeah, you're pulling it all out. Again, almost as if you're trying to stop me. I haven't forgotten when you put a tour bus right outside one of the gates. That little thing right there. As long as our wheels and our engine hold up, we haven't lost any ability. Through here. Right through here. Just around the bend is plenty of time for things to go wrong in a time trial. That's why I'm kind of trying to stay focused. It's not over until it's over. And with those meteors about, I really don't trust it. Like, that's one of those things where you think you know the zone, and then here we are.
We're charged. Arc device readings at 4.2 gigajoules and holding steady.
Good. Then we're all set. The arc device is ready to go. It'll hold that charge for as long as we need it.
Pedal to the
And
metal,
here we
driver.
go.
Storm's coming.
Okay. Going back around will probably be the shortest way then, right? Alright, from the look of it, this is actually low ground. So I'm gonna try beelining it. Oh, well, this is actually much steeper than I thought. Yeah. However, this slide in particular puts us on exactly the right path. There we go. Cutting corners actually helping us this time. In stark contrast to the first time we failed a run. Well, that was really quick. The yellow edge didn't even touch us that time. Didn't break a sweat.
Nice work out there. The whale could be a lot. Take your time and gear up. No telling what that remnant's going to unleash.
No telling. But I'm sure we're ready. The end of the road approached the well. Well then, that's gotta be it, right?
Hey, driver. I sent you something, if you don't mind taking a look.
Sure thing, Francis. Wait, Francis's request. Take him with you. In memoriam.
Tobias's favorite cryptid of them all. If it's not too much to ask, if you could put it on your dashboard, so Tobias can come along for the ride, for wherever you're going. But don't feel obligated by any means.
Of course. In memoriam, never forget, ride together forever. Swap you out for Leica. I don't know. So rarely does a game leave me at a loss for words like this, but it just tells me that this really is the end of the road, that we're actually about to end this journey. For better or for worse, whatever happens to us, we'll have gained the knowledge to go forward. Same thing as Tobias decided was worth it, and, well, we can't turn back now, can we? It certainly doesn't feel like the end, though. I mean, there's still so much to buy, so much to do. So many things we haven't built. This is definitely a game that I'm going to continue to play on my own time, and I really don't want to leave at all until we at least have that super souped-up engine. I kind of get the feeling we may even need it for what's about to come, but at this point, we're not just doing it for ourselves. That hasn't been true for a long time. And I think for as isolated as they were from each other, Tobias and Francis from Oppie, I get the impression that they weren't quite that far apart either. And if you like this video, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more creepy and comfy content. If you have any ideas for other videos you think I should do, the best place to suggest that will be at the Discord, which I will link in the description. If you want to try this game out for yourself, that link will also be in the description. If you want to support me on Patreon, that link will be in the description. And as always, I will see you in the next one.